Today's review is brought to you by the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund. You can donate at the link below. Hello, this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com, and today we're doing our shaky cam interior review inside a 2019 Mercedes GLC350e. Say that again, GLC350e. I don't know if the Germans knew that they were rhyming. Anyway, this is the plug-in hybrid Mercedes-Benz small crossover. So it's not a mid-size. This is a small. It's not quite compact, but it might as well be. Somewhere in that area, you know, the where do you call it a compact? Where do you call it a small? But regardless, it is a small SUV, but it is a plug-in hybrid. Has a plug on the back. Really kind of neat, you know. So what we're looking at is a mixture of new and old Mercedes put together in one package in terms of the interior. So old stuff include like the cruise control being down here instead of on the steering wheel, and the older command system versus the newer MBUX. New meaning the materials are new. It's got the more modern controls and a couple of other things. So we'll just go through it. Been in a lot of Mercedes lately. Mercedes has redone a lot of their vehicles. So there's been a lot of Mercedes going on just recently. I've had, what, like 5 now? It's a lot. It's unusual. Anyway, all right. So we'll start over here. Here you see the windows. Here you see the mirrors. You see the fold-in here. There is a setting to do an automatic when you park. It is set by default, I believe. But you can find this in the infotainment screen under the vehicle. I'll show you some of that later. Over here is door locks. And down there hiding, if I can get to them around this water bottle, let me just do this. Yay, now you're sick. Here's the fuel port. Here is the deck release, or in this case, it would be a hatch. So here's the release for that. Also, when you, for the plug, you just push it and it releases. So it's more like the new ones. This is kind of a holdover, I would say. Getting you sick again. I'll just move the camera a lot, really fast. Okay. The first of the Baumeister. Stereos there, speakers. Here's your seat heat, button coolers. Here's your seat memory down here. You push this, and then you can hold any of these, and it will set the memory for whatever you've got it to. Headrest, back, bottom, and thigh support. So standard Mercedes right here. I kind of like it. You get used to it being on the door. It takes a little while because when you first get in the car, if you drive a lot of cars like me, you first get in the car, you immediately reach down next to the seat trying to adjust stuff. Doesn't work in a Mercedes. All right, over here we have a whole bunch of stuff. So here you can see this is the lane assist. This is the lane. Let's see, lane keeping, lane assist, and parking radars, 360 camera. So you push this, the camera shows up on the infotainment screen if you're going slow enough. If you're going too fast, it won't turn it on because it's distracting. Fog lamps here, rest of the lights here, pretty straightforward on those, parking lights and so forth. And then here's your dimmers. Right down here, whoa, where's my finger? Right down here is the parking brake. It works in the Euro style, so you push it to set it, pull it to release. So push it in like that, and you've just set the parking brake. Let me see if there's anything else. I'll show you these while I'm down here. Let me see if I can get to them. That's about as good as it's going to get, I think. Up here, this, there you go. This adjusts the steering wheel, and then you can see this is the steering heat. You turn it. I want to show you something, though. See that little red light? That indicates it's on. Now, on the dash, nothing. You have zero indication that the steering wheel heat is on. This is the only indication. Bit of an oversight on their part. Down here is the cruise control settings. This is how you set cruise. And you're going to be leaning around in dangerous ways to see it, because when you're driving, nothing. I can feel it. I can just see the bottom of it. I can't see anything else. So good luck trying to set that cruise control. But regardless, you can kind of see what the functions are. So you can pull it down or push it up to set it. I remember that. And then you pull it towards you to resume, push it back to cancel, and then you use this, you just twist it. That's your distance settings for the adaptive cruise. The adaptive cruise in Mercedes are usually really good. They're pretty good in this car. I liked the way it slows down and speeds up. It's not in a hurry to do either, but it's not bad. You know, it doesn't hesitate, doesn't wait, doesn't do any of that stuff that gets annoying. Over here, you have your driver information screen controls. So you can see the back button, home button, and so forth. This goes up and down and this selects. This turns off voice controls. So if you're talking in the car, this turns it off. Now, what's interesting is this is appearing in this car that does not have MBUX. If it did have MBUX, this turns off the voice prompts. So in an MBUX system, you can say, I got to come up with a name for that, M-Bucks, Mercedes Bucks. Anyway, if you have the M-Bucks system, this also turns off the voice prompts. So in an MBUX, you can say, hey, Mercedes, and the car responds to you. I have only seen that in 2020 models, and thus far I've only seen it in 2 of them, because that's all the 2020 models I've seen. But the MBUX system is a big step up from the current system, the command system, which is actually not that bad. But anyway, this would turn off those voice prompts. In this car, all it does is turn off the voice control. It's a little bit pointless. Over here, you have controls for, you can see telematics, so your telephone stuff, pick up and hang up. Here's the voice control button to talk to the car, to ask it things. If you hold it down for a second, like most voice controls, and you have it will activate Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, assuming you have a phone plugged in. Here's the volume controls and the mute right in the middle. Pretty straightforward. Here's paddle shifters. Not sure why they exist. This is a plug-in hybrid. It is not a sports car, but we have to remember everything Mercedes makes is a sports vehicle, right? Everything. Even if it's supposed to be just, you know, hyper efficient like this. And then up here you can see the shifter, usual Mercedes, down to drive, up to reverse, tap it either direction depending on where you are to go into neutral, push the end down over there to park. And over here you got the other paddle shifter, and then you have, if it will focus, there we go, you have the signal turns going up and down. This runs the back, and then to squirt you push it all the way up and it will pop off of it. See that? You can do it from either side. I do it with both usually, so this finger pushing on the back side. There you go. There's that. This runs the front wipers like that. They are rain sensing, but not very good at it. This runs the washers, and then your brights back and forth. So that's a bit. It's a nice dongle though, and you get really used to the control on this. It's amazingly intuitive after a minute. So pretty cool. Now, I wanted to point out that vent over there, because I love these round vents. Mercedes aren't as adjustable as some of them. They just give you a whole lot of them. And that to me is just as good. I like having just as many, I like having lots of ways to move air around the cabin and adjust it and everything else. So looking at the, there we go. Looking at the instrument cluster. Over here you have the US version of their speedometer. So they swapped this out with the European. So the European would have the kmph, and in the US they just swap them out and put miles per hour and call it good. Down here is fuel. This is an amazingly fuel efficient car. I don't know the numbers right offhand. I'm not getting them in my head. I know that the EPA gives it 25 mpg gas only and 56 otherwise. So it's miles per gallon equivalent. That's assuming that you charge it all the way, you're driving, and then you go to gas when you run out of electricity. I don't remember the range for all electric driving. I'll have to look it up, and I'll just put it down here. But at lower speed, you can drive all electric in this. So I did 2 different experiments on the fuel economy for this. Both of them worked out really well. So the first one, they brought it to me, it had no charge. So what I did was I took it down, topped it off, drove it around in a 10-mile freeway, 10-mile around town, and then topped it off to see what the difference was. So that gave me the gas only efficiency. Those numbers will be right here. And then I did the same thing after charging it fully and driving and doing the same 10-mile and then 10-mile loops. And for that one, I got a different efficiency number right down here. Reading that. All right. And there you go. So it does well though. It's amazingly good for the size of the car. Up here you have, this shows you what drive mode you're in. I'll show you how to change those. But here's your options right here. So individual, you can set it yourself. It comes up on the infotainment screen. I'll show you that when I show you where the button is. The rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. Sport Plus, Sport, Comfort, Eco. The Eco mode and all of that, I'll show you on the infotainment screen. Shows you what they're doing when you do it. Here's the gears you're in. If I go into manual mode, I'll show you that really quick. So if I'm in, I have to be in drive. So if I go into manual mode, it looks like this. It shows you what gear you're in. When you're not in manual mode, it just shows you what gear you're in, but it says drive to show that you're in automatic. This shows you if you're battery ready, or well ready to drive. You're ready to drive in hybrid mode. If, whoops, I didn't park. If this is red, that means it needs a charge. If this is not red, if it shows something else on this screen, that will show EV, and that means that you can drive in electric mode. Pretty cool. Down here is the driver information screen. Below that are the clock and the exterior temperature. It's raining pretty good, so you're probably hearing some patter in the background. That's what that is. Driver information screen is pretty straightforward, but you can see what I've done with this. So here's the miles. Here's what the energy flow is doing right now. So the engine's running. It's charging the battery. That's it, because I'm not doing anything. Here is fuel consumption in real time. Here's the current electric range, right? And then the total range. So here's your range with gas. Here's electric range as is, which isn't very much. And so on, you know, you can just see what's going on. This is what I've done today. This is what I've done since I reset it after those fuel tests. So you can see mostly around town driving since then. So you can see the miles per gallon weren't that great, but again, that was all around town. This is rated, I don't remember what the rating for city driving in this is, but those are most of your options. There are a couple of sub-menus. So if I hit main menu here, then you can see the main menu. What we were looking at was the trip menu, but you can see what's going on through here. Just experiment with them. There's a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool. And over here's your tachometer. Don't really need that very often, if at all. I don't think you need it at all, but whatever. And down here, this is just your current state. So right now it's charging, so you see the green on the charge. That's because we're sitting and idling. If we weren't idling, then and we were just off, it would be right there. If we had enough electric power to just be sitting and the vehicle was warm and et cetera, all the conditions are correct, it would also be at 0 because the engine wouldn't be running. When you're braking, this shows you how much you're getting out of the brakes in regenerative. When you're driving, like pushing the pedal and stuff, this shows you how much power you're using. That's basically it. Over here, here's the infotainment screen. Right now it is on there's your main menus. So you cycle through it like you normally would using this dial here. This is command, and you can go through and you can do lots of stuff. Spend some time, if you have one of these, or spend time in one of these, spend some time in the vehicle settings menus. You can do a lot of cool stuff in here. It's totally worth looking at and doing. So this shows your energy flow, consumption. Here's the owner's manual, all kinds of great stuff. Useful to get to know those menus right there. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. Everything's like in every other Mercedes. That's about it. Now, if you want to go down, by the way, to the bottom ones, there you go. So you just push this, you can push this back and forth, up and down, and get stuff. Here you can do some other system stuff, and so on. Now, more vents. Beauty. Look at that. If it would focus, there we go. More vents. Roll. And then down here's climate controls. This goes to the climate menu. So you push that, boom, you end up in the climate menu. And then these are all pretty straightforward controls. You have dual climate, so this and this. This one, as far as I know, is controlled by the driver's side, as far as I can tell. Down here, you can see, like, here's auto. You use this to turn it off, and so on. This right here is kind of neat, because you can use it to just blow the fan. So you can just quickly hit that, only blow the fan, and that's it. And this should probably be off. Down here, you see the CD player. When have you seen a CD player in a car? You almost never see them in new cars anymore. So there you go, there's the CD player. Here's the eject button, and then here's hard buttons for menus up on that screen. Navi, radio, media, etc. Telephone, car. This is for the car itself, so those vehicle settings I showed you. And your Dukes lights. Remember, I explained that. Dukes of Hazzard reference if you haven't got that. Down here, move this. Down here you can see there's a... This would be a spot to put your phone if you had a small phone. My phone doesn't fit there. It sticks way out into here. My phone's not that big for today's standards. You can tell this is also made in Europe because there's an actual lighter in it. This would be an ashtray. I believe there's an ashtray insert that that Mercedes normally would put in there. Here's the drink holders. You can see if you unlock them, this comes out. Now you just have a tray. Put it in, unlock it. Now it won't move. And then here's another cool thing. If you have a stainless steel coffee mug like I do, like this, check this out. Now I'm King Arthur. How cool is that? That's the bomb. All right. The usual command display here. So most of this is familiar if you know about Mercedes and you've seen this one before. This is the drive control I was showing you before. So I will go up here and cycle through those. So on eco mode, that's what it's doing. Comfort mode, that's what it's doing. So you can see on the right, that's showing you what's changing. Sport mode and Sport Plus. Sport Plus is really jumpy. It loves pouring out power when you have it in Sport Plus. It's like really jumpy. Fun kind of jumpy, not like, not like, whoa, it's fun. It's really fun. It's amazing how fun this can be when you do that. Over here is your volume. You push it up and you push it to mute, and then you go up and down to turn the volume up and down. And you can see a back button there and a star button there. Those are mimicked, I guess. Whatever, right here. And then this is a track jump and or station jump. You push that, and then it will show it on the screen up there to jump stations, right? And then you can use this to change, or you can push it again to change. That's the driver's mode select. Down here, this raises the suspension, but it's really only raising the dampers. You don't get a lot out of it. But it's useful if you're kind of tall and you need to get in the car easier, or you're parking on a fairly tall curb and you don't want to curb, smack it. This is how you shift into manual driving mode. So you push this button and it goes into manual. You use those paddle shifters. You can also just start using the paddle shifters, but it will go back to drive after a minute. This right here is the battery management system. So when you push that, ding, there you go. So you have to change the drive mode. If I put it in eco, then when I push that, now I can choose what mode I want to drive in. And you can choose that using the driver buttons here, and you just decide how you want the vehicle to operate. So you can force it into EV, force it into hybrid, force it into drive only, engine only, that kind of thing. Over here, this turns off the infotainment display entirely, shuts everything down. So it doesn't just turn it off the screen, it shuts the whole thing down. So if you have music playing, it stops all of that stuff. This right here is your traction control system. So you push this, turns off traction control, push it again, turns it back on. And then we have the usual, let me turn this camera, usual shuttle bay doors. So you push this and they open, right? Somebody left a firewire in here. It's not mine because there are no Apple products in my house, but whatever. You can see the USBs. Here's your Navi SD slot. And there's a spot right here that you can throw something, a small MP3 player or something. It's not very deep, so you can see how long my knuckle is and where it stops. But it's useful for that. So if you have like a little MP3, like a something, you can throw it in there. That's about it. I also like these because you can have one side open and one side closed, and you can open just one side like that, see? Which is pretty neat. so you keep your armrest. And just looking at this, there's the paperwork for the car. Looking at this, you can see vented and heated and all that good stuff on the seats. Passenger side works like the driver's side over there, and I love the color mix. And I love the breakup of the dash. You see how it flows? And so they broke it up with that and created this, you know, put this brushed in here and created all of this. It just looks really good. You have all these colors going on. Way better than just a black on black on black or cream on cream on cream or something like that. So you can see black on the floor, and then it goes to cream, and then the metal breaks it, and then there's some more black, and then it goes back to that cream. Just a beautiful, beautiful look. Really, really well done. Mercedes knows how to do that. Especially for, what's the price on this? No, it's more than I thought. It's $68,000. You can see the back seats, good sized. And then there's a good sized cargo right here. I'll show you the cargo. Ooh, cargo. All right. So, yeah, it's a really well done. I like it. And you can see the Euro style latch anchors down there. So you just flip those up and shove the seat in. You don't have to push. You don't have to stand on it or anything. There's no cushion in the way of the latch anchors. Beautiful. I love that. I wish American cars would do that. Now you can see the back seats are heated. So there's your button for that. Just a beautiful, beautiful vehicle. Really well done. So I think that's all I got. That's it. We're done. This has been Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com inside the 2019 Mercedes-Benz GLC350e. This is with the 4MATIC, and they like to throw on the moniker EQ power on there. Not sure why, but the E on the end of anything in Mercedes means it has electrics in it. So there you go. That's all you need to know. All right. All done. Talk to you again soon. Subscribe.